while I've got some time, there was a tweet that you made a few weeks ago, and you're wanting to do like more, courses and work in Spanish. It's funny, like half of my Twitter now is in Spanish, and so I just wish I could get Duolingo points with that. But and then I see a lot of people that I know that are tweeting in both languages, where I just know what that's like, kind of the cognitive load going back and forth. So you put together a course last week.
Yeah.
Take me through that. How was it? I just love to hear about what that day was like.
Okay. It was exciting. I that's the right word. But I actually forgot like to get everyone introduced. It was like, okay, let's jump into Webflow, HTML and CSS. But there's a quote. I don't remember who said it first, but it says like, when one teaches to learn.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
I that was I felt that
Mm.
firsthand with this course, because I was teaching these 17 students, like that. Some of them never touched like design software in their life, or maybe never wrote a single line of code, but they were really passionate about, okay, how do I do this, how do I trying to learn and wrap their head around a lot of stuff. It was 14 hours straight in 2 days,
Oh,
just
wow.
stacking. And I confirmed that I could talk about Webflow for hours and days, and and teaching everything. The only thing I had to do, it was like a structure the thing.
Mm.
But I learned that is actually, I think Webflow is not like the more complicated part. The most complicated part is to learn how HTML and CSS work
Mhm.
together, and that's
Yep.
something. Also the dynamics in the group. Like, there were guys that were students of CS, computer science, and they were just
Mm.
like this, man. They were going through all the exercise I made, and
Yep.
just like Flash. And I was like, I don't even, they not even, it was my first time teaching, like a
Mhm.
workshop. And they were like doing it just right away, didn't ask any questions. I also had two or three students that were around their 50s,
Okay.
almost 60, trying
Mm.
also to learn Webflow. And it was totally different experience. Like, okay, trying to,
Mhm.
but from them and their questions is where I got like the most resources on how
Mm.
to teach more efficiently
Mm.
Webflow, and especially this HTML and CSS part. Then once they get that, the translation part is easy, I feel.
Mm. Yeah.
Once you tell them, and that was not my case in my experience. It was all translation. It was, but they're learning it natively, so that was
Oh,
interesting. It was because they're not seeing the code, but they're
yeah.
learning how to structure it and how it
Yep.
interacts with each other. It's
Mm.
interesting because you're teaching them how to code, but they don't
Mhm.
know they're learning to
Exactly.
code. Yeah.
Well, and I think there's a lot of programming basics that you start to learn eventually by working
Yeah.
in, like things like abstraction, or things like, having elements that can be reused,
Hmm.
streamlining workflows, like all of that sort of stuff. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's like and I think for us, that's really where it's like you start building up, and then you're building kind of like brochure sites, and then those brochure sites need like a little bit more, and then you're just like straight up programming, and it's like, what language, so it's like, oh, is this
Hmm.
a visual language, is this like a written language, is it declarative, is it descriptive, things along those lines. What within the group that you were teaching, what was their reaction, what after the 2 days, it was 2 days, is that right?
It was 2 days. Yes.
Okay. What was their reaction after the 2 days? What did they want to do next?
Projects. They all had like
Yeah.
their little projects. Yeah,
Hmm.
we created a small WhatsApp group. I wanted to create a Slack, but I felt that it may be too technical for them.
Hmm.
Let's just keep it on WhatsApp.
Yep.
They were
Everything's in,
just
yeah, and for
uh,
everyone in the U.S. that doesn't know, like everything's in WhatsApp in Latin America. Like,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Groups for everything, like WhatsApp groups. So we
yep.
created this group, and then just the next very day, they were just all writing like, "Hey, Sergio, I want to do this. So what do you recommend?" I was always like sending them to the Webflow University and telling
Hmm.
them, "Okay, you could do this this certain way." But they all had like their little projects that they wanted to start developing. So, but they were really excited. They felt like, okay, yes, we know that there's a more to learn,
Hmm.
but I try to to show them everything, the 360 part of the tool.
Yeah,
It's a lot, it's a
that's a
lot,
whole lot.
but especially if we're going in just 2 days. But I felt, and they told me that they were really grateful,
Mm.
about just having experience and not being in fear of breaking things. It's just like,
Yep.
okay, I'm just going to go hack the stuff, and they know they have the support of the
Hmm.
community also. And yeah, probably you're going to start seeing them on your Discord also.
Oh,
I
yeah,
showed
awesome.
them I showed them your Webflow cafe and told them about
Yeah.
the community.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
think it's a really big factor on just keeping on that path of learning.
Yep. Yeah. I saw pictures of, obviously, like you're very gracious in terms of like mentioning EA, and I was happy to be a part of it. But I saw the pictures of Valencia and Felix, and yeah. What do as they're learning, what's their reaction to learning in Spanish versus learning, in English on like just Webflow University?
I think it was not that hard for them to get, for example, on the Webflow University thing
Mm.
on YouTube, because because of technology, the current technology right now, you can live translate
Mm.
on YouTube, so
Okay.
you can get some real-time subtitles, and then from those subtitles you can translate them to Spanish.
Mm.
So I saw a bunch of kids just using that, and maybe setting the speed to
Hmm.
0.75% of speed,
Yeah.
so things go slow. But yeah, I feel that there's of course all documentation and all stuff is in English,
Yep.
but we have tools that can
Hmm.
help us a little bit to overcome the translation barrier.
Well,
So
do you think that like should just documentation be in English, or like what about kind of like having Spanish language native content? How important is that?
I think it would, if we had a Spanish specific or language
Hmm.
specific content, it will open even more
Hmm.
the field, because that's something that I feel that Webflow is
Hmm.
yes, a tool, but it's a lot of visual, but a lot of the
Hmm.
commands are in English. Easily, it could be
Yep.
translated to Spanish. And if people had like the tool in Spanish and also the content in Spanish,
Hmm.
they would even have less fear of just
Hmm.
getting, uh, taking the leap, and just starting to use the platform. But because here in Latin America again, and in general in the Spanish speaking world, is as there's so many people. I'm talking more than 600 million something. So
Wow.
its own ecosystem,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
people don't feel the need to go outside that ecosystem of knowledge, of content, of
Hmm.
because everything is in Spanish. So when
Hmm.
a lot of people really don't try to learn, or try to learn, but don't get English that much. So there's definitely a language barrier. So I don't know if I didn't you know uh, teach this workshop in Spanish, they would ever pick this tool, because
Mm.
it's just not in their native language.
Yep.
uh, you know, one good thing about, and you may have noticed this learning Spanish, is that there are a lot of similar words
Sure.
between English. So I was telling them, I don't know, absolute position, posición absoluta. It's the same
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fixed position, posición fija. It's
Yep.
there were things that they were able to pick really easy.
I would imagine it's really about comfort, because
Mm-hmm.
for some people, as you mentioned, like it's a learning Webflow is like a second language in and of itself, whether or not it's in a
Mm-hmm.
second language, and then you add that actual second language onto it, and then it's a multiplier of the hurdles that you have to get over. And I would imagine that while Webflow University is you can hack it around and get the subtitles and things along those lines. I would imagine like the workshop that you put together was the spark that got them to see the bigger idea to be able to come over that multiplier of the current barriers. Um, so yeah, I think it's how to be able to create, I think for me even, like I didn't believe in Webflow when I first saw it, because I just thought, I was like, oh, it's too good to be true. And I was jaded, I'm very jaded by marketing language, especially around, tools. And I think it's like how to trust in a tool. And it wasn't until I heard, Sergi talk about their mission, that I was like, oh, I like them as people. So do you
Mm-hmm.
think that, how much of this was, people seeing just another tool, and then how much of it is like people understanding that like you as a representative of this larger community, and the opportunity that that community represents? What do you see as that sort of dynamic?
I think for their main goal and their main thing was always to learn how to create a website, right? It's the tool.
Mhm. Yep.
So, and of course, I told them a lot about the tool, but I also told them a lot about the community, a
Mhm.
lot about the opportunities, the people that
Yep.
are out there, and of course the main flag here in Spanish, Webflow Cafe. But I was
Yeah.
telling them, of course, about Fluxy's community,
Yep.
about how supportive
Mhm.
they are, and how beautiful it is, how warm it is. But I feel that you need to get to experience the community to
Mhm.
actually understand how meaningful it is. But the resources are there,
Yeah.
but mainly they were excited about the tool and about the capabilities that they will unlock in each of their cases. I saw
Mm.
three specific cases. I was asking them, like, why
Mhm.
why 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 did you get here?
Mm.
And they were saying a couple of students were the CS
Mhm.
students, so they just wanted to see another alternative to to code the front end of the websites. And I told
Yep.
them about DevLink, for example, that is
Mm.
going to the new feature. But others were designers, graphic designers, that wanted to expand their
Mm.
their toolkit and their
Yep.
skills, because right now everything goes to the internet,
Mm.
to the web. And the other were entrepreneurs, the small entrepreneurs that wanted
Mm.
to create their own websites.
Mm.
Don't have to hire someone that may or may not do a good work, and have control. And that's the thing, that's another thing, beautiful thing about the tool. It's all about, like, about the control that you can have
Yep.
once you're learning deeply. So yeah, that was about it for them.
In terms of putting this event together, obviously there's investment that has to happen, reserving rooms, you got a photographer, like all of this stuff. Um, did you apply for a community grant through Webflow, or did you just decide you were going to bootstrap this?
I knew that I was going to go to Argentina like tomorrow, and
Yeah.
uh, I was, but this I had this friend, Abrama, the director of
Mhm.
this European Design Academy, and he told me from since a long time ago, hey Sergio, you should do a work workshop. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I should, but I don't have time. I'm too busy doing all my stuff. But then I was like, okay, why don't we just do it? Just let's run. Let me get the materials. Let me run some
Yeah.
ads, and yeah, let's see. Then I published it into Twitter, and then you
Mhm.
wrote to me, and it was like, hey,
Mhm.
I want to help. So
Sure.
yeah, and that totally helped us a lot. By the way, thank you again for
Yeah. No, no, no.
sponsoring the 17 students. It was great, man.